In this video, we're going to be finding out what is so special about Polkadot and what is so special about Kusama. And there's something coming in the Polkadot ecosystem which is going to give you access to free money in the form of airdrops. That's coming soon. This one is all about Polkadot and Kusama. To find the best cryptocurrency investments, check out Token Metrics. Use my affiliate link for a discount. Please follow me on Twitter and join my official Telegram announcements channel. Also, please follow me on bittube.video. You can also follow me on Odyssey. These are both censorship-resistant platforms, and every now and then I am going to post a video which isn't going to be on YouTube. Hey, Claude, thank you so much for making yourself available. You are a fellow YouTuber like I am, but whereas I've got a passion for privacy coins and Pirate Chain and Sentinel and the Komodo-based projects and the Cosmos-based projects, you are fully immersed in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. So we're going to be talking about Polkadot because I hold Polkadot, I don't hold Kusama, and I'm going to find out from you what is so special about Polkadot. I just have my Polkadot sitting in a wallet somewhere, in a hardware wallet doing nothing, right? But first, do you want to say a little bit about your YouTube channel? And I have all the links in the description below if people want to go and check out and find out more about Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem projects.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me here. First of all, Rich, glad to be here. It's actually the second or the third time we've been here. I think the last time you invited me, we discussed about BitTube, which is the decentralized platform as opposed to YouTube. I know that we need to have backups in case something ever happens to our channels. But yeah, my name is Claudio. I run the YouTube channel KryptosChain. I'm also on Twitter with KryptosChain. Also on Library, which is now called Odyssey. Also with the username KryptosChain if you want to follow me there. And it's KryptosChain with a K. Like Rich said, you can find the link in the description below, maybe in the pinned comment. And basically, I've been doing cryptocurrency videos since April 2018. I started off with the NEO ecosystem, which was known as the Chinese Ethereum. I've been covering a lot of projects on there, but the NEO ecosystem started to kind of slowly die out in the sense that NEO itself was growing, but the projects that started those ICOs on it were not doing so well, right? So people with a mix with the bear market, right? People are not really bullish on crypto at the time between 2018 and 2019. So things are starting to die out. So I started kind of to switch my context to look for other projects, for other potentials, right? So I started doing a lot of videos on the top projects that people are actually interested in, right? Stuff like Cardano, stuff like VeChain. I was looking into these sort of projects, trying to understand more about them because at the time I was too focused on NEO. I was learning too much about that, but I was kind of like a horse, you know, just seeing it in one direction. I wasn't seeing what's out there. So thankfully, come 2020, when Polkadot launched, which was actually created, one of the co-founders is the creator of Solidity, which is the programming language that Ethereum was developed in, and that's Gavin Wood. That's his name. He's decided to set up this side project, or I should say ecosystem, but he saw it as a project at the beginning to leave Ethereum and to work on this project called Polkadot, where he had the idea of creating an ecosystem of interoperability, because the whole point is not to have tribalism, but to have all these blockchains connected to each other. You could think of all these different dApps connected through smart contracts, sharing information between each other regardless of, without having borders. You could think of it that way, right? Because at the moment, you could have, well, not at the moment because things have changed, right, in the last year or so, but back in 2018 and even 2017, you were pretty much stuck on one blockchain, right? You couldn't really have that cross-chain interaction. So Gavin saw obviously this blockage and he thought, okay, well, I can make this work. So he started raising an ICO in 2017. So quite a lot of people that knew about Gavin Wood back then invested in that ICO, right? So they were quite lucky. I was not one of those guys. I didn't even know Polkadot existed at the time. I didn't do enough research on that. So, and like I said, I was too focused on the NEO ecosystem. But come 2020, when Polkadot launched with their web wallet, Polkadot.js, then that's when I started looking into it and trying to learn as much as possible. And there's so much to learn with Polkadot. It's crazy because it's just super complex, right? I mean, the whole system, even to stake on Polkadot, it's very, very complex. And many people complain to me saying that, Claudio, I think Polkadot is not for your average user, right? You need to be techie. And I absolutely agree. I think that because it's so young, there haven't been wallets created.
Hold on a second. Your passion about Polkadot is very, very evident and apparent, right? Let me just stop for a second, right? Because there's some things I want to pick apart. So first, just some of the basics about Polkadot. So we got it ICO'd in 2017. I saw it. I didn't look into it. I didn't participate. I wish I had. Right there, you go. And I do hold some Polkadot. They sit in my hardware wallet doing nothing. I'm not even staking them. So I don't even know if it was difficult to stake them. But just tell us in terms of scalability and transaction speed. how does it compare, say, with Ethereum, which is the main platform protocol?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it only takes you a number of seconds to transfer from your wallet to another wallet, right? Again, if you're transferring from your wallet to an exchange, it's still very fast. We're talking a couple of seconds. In terms of stability, Polkadot is very stable. However, Polkadot cannot survive on its own because Polkadot is the base layer, right? You've got Polkadot, it's a blockchain, is the base layer. But what use case does it really have if its whole utility is around interoperability? So what Polkadot actually needs is what are so-called parachains, which are basically side chains that are sitting on top of Polkadot to make it interoperable, right? So you need to have the stability of Polkadot, the scalability and the security of Polkadot, but you need to have these parachains, which are going to be serving the purposes of building DeFi dApps, smart contracts, NFT platforms, and anything like that you could think of. So that's where the parachains come into play.
Okay,
so
but
maybe if you have some questions on the parachains.
How is that different from the structure of Ethereum? You've got Ethereum as the base layer. You've got DeFi dApps and other dApps on the blockchain, but Ethereum's got all this congestion. And even now, after the improvement protocol, I mean, transaction fees, I tried to move a few $100 the other day. It's going to cost me $60. $60 to move a few $100. I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely. But the main problem with that is because you actually need to pay the transaction fees in Ethereum. So Ethereum's problem currently is that even though you've got these smart contract platforms developing on Ethereum, you cannot pay those transaction fees in their tokens, in those native tokens, right? This is where Polkadot is actually different, because with these parachains, you can pay the transaction fees in that specific token. But even if you were to pay in DOT, the transaction fee is still super, super tiny. We're talking 5 or 6 cents, right, for each transaction. So you can even use it for blockchain gaming, because as you know, in gaming, you need to have a lot of transactions, right? It needs to be fast in and out, right? You need to operate fast because for each action, for each event that triggers a transaction, it needs to happen quickly. So yeah, I mean, it's all about scalability when you're talking about high level, high throughput platforms, right? Where you need to have a lot of activity going, a lot of events to be triggered at the same time.
Right. So and in terms of transactions per second on Polkadot, what can it do?
I don't know the exact number. I believe it's over 10,000, but they're always changing, right? Because they're doing constant upgrades.
Right. 10,
but what's good about them is that their upgrades are forkless. So you can never expect Polkadot to fork, right? There's always going to be the one version. Right. It's in their design. Okay. Their design is to basically check, in a way they can check the blocks, the previous blocks, and check to see which block has more transactions. And I believe based on that, they understand which should have been the original block. So basically, they never actually fork, even if there is that kind of, like say, for example, somebody is deciding via governance to make an upgrade, which the majority are against, right? It doesn't matter, right? They're always gonna go with the majority, and it's just impossible to fork. It's just not. It's in the design.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good, and it's an open source code.
So it's open source, yeah.
Anybody can build on it.
Yes, but to develop on Polkadot, you've got two options. So you've got the option of developing on the framework where Polkadot is built on, which is called Substrate. And for that, you need to know the Rust, which is the programming language that Substrate uses. It is a very complex programming language to learn, but most developers that have skills of, say, C# or C++, they could learn Rust, right? So yeah, it is complex, but it's doable. And so basically, you've got the option to build on Substrate, but that doesn't really mean that you're building on Polkadot. You're building on the framework that allows you to be interoperable with Polkadot, but you're not taking advantage of Polkadot security, Polkadot stability, etc. Right? The idea to really be close to Polkadot and connected, it requires you to have either a parathread or a parachain. Now, I'm going to go into those. So parathread is the pay-as-you-go model of a sidechain. So think of a weather dApp, maybe. With a weather dApp, you don't need to check the weather every second, right? Maybe once every couple of hours. Maybe you want to go traveling somewhere, or you want to go outside with your family and you want to check the weather on a weather dApp. It doesn't require so many transactions, right? So because it doesn't require that 24/7 availability, you could have the pay-as-you-go model under a parathread, which is like a mini sidechain, which is connected to Polkadot, but you pay that small fee that Polkadot would charge, right? Now, don't ask me what the fee is because I don't know. I didn't look into the exact details of the fees. But then you've got the parachains, right? So in order to become a parachain, it's more complicated. And this is what we're going to talk about in another video when we're going to talk about the crowd loans and the parachain auctions. But once you're a parachain, then you can basically take advantage of the stability of the ecosystem and also of 24/7 connectivity, where you're constantly producing blocks just like a normal blockchain. And of course, you can constantly build on it. But there is one disadvantage of being a parachain. You're limited to a lease of up to 2 years. And then after 2 years, you need to try and get another slot. So you can't just become a parachain and stay as a parachain forever. You've got a limited amount of time. You're also limited to 100 parachains for Polkadot. So on Polkadot, you cannot have more than 100 as it stands. That's going to be the limit. But in the future, Gavin Wood is thinking of extending that limit.
What's the thinking behind having that 2-year limit and the 100 project limit?
Yeah, it's to do with stability of the network. They don't want to congest it. So they're thinking if we have 100 parachains, that's enough to have a stable ecosystem, which is going to supply us with enough information that people are going to need in the world. And there's no need to go over that. But they're going to look at possibly extending it if the demand is required. Right. But their idea is to keep it at 100. And that way, people are going to be competing to try and become a parachain. You're not going to have these scams, which are going to say, okay, I'm just going to try and become a parachain. So they're kind of avoiding scams as well, building on it. And that's why you have these this limitation in the sense that you cannot just become a parachain. However, there's also one other thing to keep in mind. There are a number of parachains that are known as common good parachains. And these are projects that don't have any token, but they have a necessary use case for Polkadot to function, such as bridging technology, for example, to bridge Bitcoin over to Polkadot, right? You may need a bridge for that. And you do need a bridge for everything, right, on Polkadot, because of how are you going to bring Ethereum assets over to Polkadot without a bridge, right? You need a bridge. So there's going to be a number of parachains, which are common good parachains. They don't actually need to go through what is known as a parachain auction, which we're going to talk about in the video.
Okay.
But now that we spoke about Polkadot, maybe we can switch to that when
we can. Well, let me just ask you about the leases, right? Because if somebody holds coins or tokens, are they tokens? Or is it they got their own blockchain, so they're coins?
They've got their own blockchains. They're going to be tokens actually, because they're side chains, but they can mint the token. Yeah, they can mint them. They can mint a set amount of tokens at the beginning, or they can generate what are known as coins. If they generate them from the beginning, from Genesis, like we've got with Bitcoin, whereas the very first Bitcoin, 50 Bitcoin, was created on the Genesis block, right? So there are two different options. You could have coins or you could have tokens, but the majority are tokens because normally they pre-mint a specified amount on Genesis.
Right. Okay. So somebody's invested in a project, and now it has a 2-year lease. And what if they don't get it? They don't get to renew it.
Then they become a parathread. So they all start as parathreads, which are the pay-as-you-go model. And until they win the auction, they don't become a parachain.
I got it. It's not like they disappear and oh my god.
No. They don't disappear. They have a chance. They have a chance to go again because these parachain auctions keep on running. They're going to be a constant process.
I got it.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the beauty of it.
Now that's Polkadot. I got the value of Polkadot, and it has gone up in value since it has launched.
Yeah.
But there's also Kusama, which is like a fraternal twin of Polkadot.
Exactly, yes. Kusama was actually created with the idea of being a test network to Polkadot. So any project that would be, or not project, let's just say even before parachain. So let's just think about Polkadot and Kusama. So any update that you want to push to Polkadot would have been tested on Kusama first. So that was the idea, right? To not break Polkadot. Polkadot is the stable version. Kusama is the canary version, the test network, the wild version, the one where all the experiments are taking place, right? So it's awesome. You can break it. It doesn't matter. However, it does have real world value. You can actually, Kusama has real world value because it's tradable on exchanges, right? And Kusama is going to mirror Polkadot. So with the idea that you're going to have 100 parachains on Polkadot, you need to have 100 parachains on Kusama. Again, you don't need to have them, but the idea is that they're going to have them. So that's why we have these parachain auctions that have started already on Kusama. So we've got actually a number of parachains at the moment live on Kusama. And because this is a canary ecosystem, a test ecosystem, and this was the main mentality of Polkadot and Kusama, right, is to have Kusama as the test network. This mentality has kind of changed, right? So we are testing on Kusama. However, Gavin Wood's vision is now to have Kusama as its independent ecosystem. So that's why the value of Kusama has shot up dramatically. It went from $1 in January 2020 to over $650 in February or March. I believe it was March of 2021 of this year. So that's a 650x in just over a year. So that's amazing. Like, it had a massive run up. It was considered an overpumped test network, but that's because people didn't see the value of it. So why did it pump so much? Well, it's because of all these startups buying Kusama in preparation for these parachain auctions, because they cannot rely on the public alone. They had to have some Kusama to contribute in order to ensure that they're going to become, their project can become a parachain. So they got in as cheap as possible while they still could. Some of them got in cheap, some of them later, but that's the reason for the massive pump in price. So, and now because of Gavin Wood's vision changing, saying that Kusama is going to be an independent ecosystem, there are going to be projects solely building on Kusama and never on Polkadot. But all the ones that have built on Kusama so far will also go to Polkadot. But in the future, there will only be some that will only build on Kusama. So that's something to keep in mind. It's very important that they are separate. Even though they're going to connect eventually, they are separate right now.
So there's no bridge currently. And one thing, Kusama's got all these projects and stuff. I forgot to ask you, Polkadot, are there any applications that are built on Polkadot yet, or are they to come?
They're to come. They're all on the test network right now. Test network, and not the test network as in Kusama. There's also the test network, which has no real value, right? Where they're actually developing and testing applications. But the test network of real value and the also known as the Canary network is Kusama. So there are two test networks. The one which has no real value, like we've got Ropsten on Ethereum, and then we've got the real value test network and its own ecosystem now, which is Kusama. So it may seem confusing to many, and that's why many stepped away from Kusama and said, no, I'm not buying a test network coin, because they're probably thinking of Ropsten on Ethereum. So they just went with Polkadot instead. Now many feel like they're missing out, and I can understand why, right?
Yeah. But maybe they can do the same. Like I'm thinking myself, I should get myself a little bit more DOT right now in anticipation of when the ecosystem's ready to launch on DOT. Now, is there a DEX for Kusama?
There is now, yes, there is now. It's actually the very first parachain auction winner, which is again the stuff we're going to talk about, because crowd loans require a video on their own. To be honest, it's just a lot of information to cover.
Sure, but and that's how people can get free. They can get airdrops. We'll talk about that in our second video. Is there anything else you want to let us know about Kusama and Polkadot before we finish up?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Kusama, I think, is the one you should look into, because the market cap is like around 2.5 billion at the moment of the time of doing this video. I believe it's getting close to 2.8 million now with the price. And Polkadot is like 25, sorry, 2. Did I say 25? No, sorry, 2.5 or 2.8 billion at the moment with Kusama, and Polkadot is around 26, 27 billion. So we're talking about a 10x difference here in market cap. So this just shows you if these two ecosystems are going to grow equally, and Kusama is one step ahead, and there will be projects that will only build on Kusama because it's cheaper to build on, then think about the potential upside here if Kusama was to catch up and do a 10x from here. This is the way I see it, right? Not financial advice, but this is why I personally went deeper in Kusama over Polkadot, but I do hold both.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Anything else you want to let us know about Kusama and DOT?
Yeah, just keep an eye out on the next video regarding crowd loans, because the crowd loans are happening right now. Right now, they're live in September. This month is hot when it comes to the Kusama crowd loans, where you can basically get free tokens for locking up your Kusama.
Yes, we shall talk about that indeed, right? And also, check out Claudio's channel, KryptosChain. I'll have all the links in the description below. And actually, what you should be doing is following us on Odyssey and BitTube and subscribing there, supporting the growth of our platforms on censorship-resistant platforms. So, Claudio, thank you so much. I look forward to having you on again and finding out about these crowd loans and getting these airdrops. Anybody who's watching, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the description below. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Claudio signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.